Why are there so many shows starring Muppets and dozens of movies too? They said they'd watch everyone and they mean it. It's something that they've got to do. So now they've pledged you a lifelong commitment. The Muppets, Matthew and Sam.
Welcome to Commitment, the podcast where two friends have vowed to watch all things Muppets. I'm Matthew Gatos.
And I'm Sam Schultz.
And this week we watched episodes 11 through 15 of the first season of The Muppet Show, and we are watching them in New York release order. So this covers the dates from November 29th, 1976 through January 24th, 1977. And that means we will be discussing the episodes featuring Candice Bergen, Bruce Forsyth, Harvey Korman, Charles Aznavour, and Ben Vereen.
All-star lineup.
Yeah, those people whose names I probably have heard, and a couple of which their faces I recognized. But before we get into talking about that, I want to bring something to the audience's attention and Sam's attention, because there's two things that have been really bothering me about this first batch of Muppet Show episodes.
Mm-hmm.
And by first batch, I mean this first 15 episodes we have watched so far. Two jokes that are already wearing my patience thin.
I think I know one of them.
What do you think it is?
Is it when somebody goes, cute joke?
That is one of them, yes.
Hate that. I want to punch whoever says it in the face.
I thought it was so good, like when Scooter was introduced, and they were like,
Yeah.
cute name. And it like happened 2 times in that episode. And I was like, oh, that's kind of fun.
It
and
works
then it happened
for
like
Scooter because he's an object of derision.
and then it happened like once or twice more, and I was kind of still okay with it. And then now it becomes a thing that like the guests are saying, and Kermit keeps saying, and like all these characters keep saying it, and it becomes it's just one of those moments where you like peel back the curtain and you see the writing room be like, yeah, put the cute joke in there.
Candice Bergen says it in this group of episodes, which was when it was the last straw for me.
Yes, same. That's when I put it into the notes of like, I need to talk about this.
Matt's pissed. This is Matt's pissed corner.
Oh, I don't like the way that sounds.
Oh, it's too bad. It was what it is.
Matt's pissed corner.
Yep.
Can you guess the other?
We're going to have to change the rug out in Matt's pissed corner. It fucked it all up. It stinks over here.
Don't worry, it's a ruggable. I'll wash it.
Okay, good.
Not a sponsor.
Could be, though.
Yeah, if you want to talk about pissing on your rugs and why that's okay because you can wash them, hit us up, Ruggable. Do you want to take a guess at what the other annoying joke that I'm tired of is?
I can't think of any other running jokes that aren't like Crazy Harry blowing stuff up or like hi-ya. I can't think of anything else.
It happens in At the Dance exclusively.
Oh, I just zone out at the dance. Oh, is it when they do the I can't think of an example right now. You go. I know what you're gonna say.
It's what I call the gerund jokes.
Yeah.
Because they're all, for instance, they're talking about, do you like the circus? And they say yes. And they're like, oh, so you must like ringling. And he's like, I don't know. I've never ringled. And then another one is like, do you like classic literature? And he says yes. It's like, oh, so you love Kipling? And he's like, I don't know. I've never kippled.
I thought that was funny until they did it in 2 episodes in a row.
And this batch, they did it twice in one At the Dance segment.
Well, then it's like a running gag.
But it's the same running gag that we've been having.
That didn't bother. That doesn't make me as viscerally angry as cute blank.
See, to me, the gerund jokes are more annoying because they feel lazier. Because like the At the Dance bits are just filled with one-liners, and you're essentially just doing the same joke over and over, as opposed to like the cute joke is just a tag on the end of other jokes.
Yeah, but do you want to know a secret? I'm excited for when I get to use that joke in real life.
Oh no, no one's gonna laugh though.
I'll laugh, and that's all that matters.
But yeah, I wanted to talk about those two things because I feel like I hope they go away after season 1 as well. Like hopefully they're a Jack Burns thing. But who knows? Maybe they'll be around forever. All right, since this batch was sort of the tipping point of these jokes starting to wear on us a bit, we should probably get into actually talking about this batch of episodes. So Sam, tell everyone what we watched.
Picture this. It's November 29th, 1976 in New York City, and you're snug in front of your tube TV. It's probably snowing outside. Maybe you have one of those scratchy 70s blankets on, like a Afghan. You know what I'm talking about? Like the scratchy 70s blanket.
Yeah, that like maybe your mom made for you.
Yeah, and whatever sofa you're sitting on is really stiff and scratchy. And what are you watching? It's The Muppet Show with their very special guest star, Candice Bergen. Yay. The backstage plot of this episode isn't much of a plot at all, but it involves Fozzie doing variations of this joke. This is Fozzie speaking. Wire for Kermit the Frog. Are you Kermit the Frog? And then Kermit Frog says, yes, I'm Kermit Frog. And then Fozzie hangs a wire coat hanger on him and says, wire for you. And then Kermit goes, whoa, I'm going to kill that guy. And then they just do that a bunch of times. I didn't write about who Candice Bergen was. We saw her on SNL. She's the daughter of legendary ventriloquist Edgar Bergen, who was a radio ventriloquist, which is a little weird, but he also was a real ventriloquist too. But also she was like a model, and I don't really know, I was reading her wiki, I don't really know what she was really famous for at this point, or like how she ended up on SNL. Do you?
Yeah, that's a good point. I was going to say Murphy Brown is what she's most famous for.
Yeah, that's what I think of her as.
Well, after
that's like
this.
10 years from now. Yeah.
Yeah, no, great question. I know she was an actress and a model, but I don't specifically know why she was famous enough to be on SNL and The Muppet Show.
On SNL twice in the first season.
Yeah,
when
so maybe
nobody
she was
else
just in enough of the right sort of things that she was famous in the right circles. I don't really know, because she's only like 30 or something when she's hosting this. So she was getting famous pretty young.
I kind of feel like she was like... So I read a quote. Sorry, I'm getting way off track. I read a quote of hers in her wiki that said that she always... Paraphrasing, that she always kind of felt bad that she was famous because her dad was famous. So she might have just been like a New York person who people knew, and maybe she was like nice and people just liked working with her or something. She was also in a bunch of movies, but none of them were like huge blockbusters or anything like that. Anyway, completely subjective standout moments from this episode include, what else? The Rolf UK spot, in which he has to sing a song faster and faster to fill his whole time slot because he sung it too fast the first time, so he's got to keep going until he fills his time slot. Kermit looking extremely cute, posing while Candice takes pictures of him in the talk spot. And the first big Miss Piggy musical number that I can remember, at least. She sings a song with Rolf and the other guys, but this is like her first solo thing, isn't it?
Yeah, this felt like a sort of like coming out moment for Miss Piggy as a diva type character.
Still voiced by two different people in one episode, but a big episode for her nonetheless. Then a week later, you get home from some Christmas shopping and consult the TV guide. To your delight, you find that British comedian and game show host Bruce Forsyth is the special guest on this week's Muppet Show, and it's on in 5 minutes. Wow! In this episode's storyline, Fozzie is backstage practicing what to do the next time Statler and Waldorf heckle him, and he does everything from begging to physical violence. Eventually, he learns that his time slot has been given away to Bruce Forsyth by Kermit, which makes him sad until he sees Bruce start to fling insults at Statler and Waldorf. He comes out on stage and Bruce gives him a crash course in how to insult an audience that is heckling you. My completely subjective stand-up moments from this one include the first veterinarian's hospital that I liked quite a bit, about a duck where they keep saying duck and they all keep ducking, and I thought it was pretty funny. And then the whole Bruce and Fozzie thing I thought was pretty good. And a pretty funny bit with Bruce where he and Kermit barter farmyard animals because Bruce wants to rent a pig.
No, he wants to rent a duck, right?
Oh,
he's trading a pig
yes.
and 2 rabbits for a duck. And I don't know why he wants the duck so bad, but he's like...
I don't either.
He's very keen on renting a duck. Not owning a duck, renting a duck.
I just thought the punchline was funny where he was like, oh, this is a steal. Other shows would charge you 2 pigs to rent a duck. That was pretty good. So next up, Christmas bells are in the air on December 12th, 1976, and you switch on the tube to catch Harvey Korman, who you would know as, somebody living in the 70s would know as one of the stars of the Carol Burnett Show. He's in Blazing Saddles, and he's apparently the voice of the Great Gazoo in the Flintstones, which I did not know until 4 minutes ago, but I think is amazing.
He was also the voice of the Dick-to-Bird in the live-action Flintstones movie.
He is?
Yeah.
Oh, he's the best part of the live action. No, he's not the best part, but one of the best parts.
He's definitely
That's a
up
great
there.
Movie.
Yeah.
That's a great movie. I love all of it. And he's the guest of the Muppet Show, obviously. That's what we're talking about. This one doesn't have much of a plot, really, until the very end, when Harvey says he hates being the only human on the show, and then basically gets sewn into a big chicken costume that he can't get off, so he feels more at home with all of the animals. And that's pretty much it. My completely subjective standout moments for this episode include Robin's speaking/singing debut, singing Halfway Down the Stairs, which is like his signature song. Always a great song. He does a great job. Dr. Teeth and the Electric Mayhem sing 2 songs in this episode, including the song about explosions that they sang in Sex and Violence that Matt complained about because nothing exploded. This time, everything explodes a million times.
Yes.
So
Thank you for listening to my notes.
They heard you from the future. Also, Harvey Korman, my favorite part, screams at Thog and hits him with a lion's tamer whip and then treats him like the big horrid beast he is.
I literally put in my notes, hey, it's Sam. They just have this circus trainer, animal tamer character Harvey Korman is playing, and he's talking about this giant, ugly, vicious beast that we should all avoid. And then it's Thog, and he's still...
Yeah, and he's like, hello, Mr. Harvey Korman. I love you.
I think it's the best use...
Shit out of
I think it's the best use of Thog so far.
Yeah.
But it is hilarious to me. I was like, oh, yeah, this is just Sam.
It does play off of he's big but cute in a way that is more interesting than like I think they've done so far, and less creepy too.
Yeah, because it was always like he was cute and flirtatious, and now it's just like, oh, he's big and cute, and this guy's treating him like a angry beast, and he's clearly not.
Then it's January 17th, 1977. It's a new year and a new episode of The Muppet Show. This time starring Charles Aznavour, who's probably extremely famous in France, but I do not know this man. In this episode, Gonzo is very sad because he hasn't been on the show in weeks. And Kermit, that old bastard, tells him that it's because his act is horrible and nobody gets what he's trying to do. And Kermit suggests that he finds an agent to help him shape his career and help him pick out acts to do. So Gonzo hires Scooter, and the two of them pitch Kermit a bunch of acts throughout the episode. Ultimately, Gonzo never goes on stage, so it's kind of a big waste of time, I guess, but still fun. Completely subjective standout moments for this one include a talk spot in which Piggy is extremely horny for Charles Aznavour.
Yeah, I hated that. It just felt like the only appropriate like terminology that I put speaking French to an orgasmic Miss Piggy in my notes.
Yeah, she's like rubbing her breasts.
It's a lot. Like I feel like that's one of those things. Like if I was watching that and my wife walked into the room, there would be like a "what are you watching" moment.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And then I like at the end of that skit, he's like, I just met the woman of my dreams.
Yeah, he falls for her. Like it starts off of like him and Kermit sort of hazing Miss Piggy by him just like saying nonsense in French to her and her falling for his accent. And then by the end, he's like, you know what? I'm kind of into her.
And then another part that I really liked was one of Gonzo's proposed acts backstage was him hitting a big rock with a sledgehammer and yelling, art.
Yeah.
Art. That was good.
That was one of those, like, I chuckle, I laugh at a lot of these things. That was one that got like a full-on laugh out loud moment like, on my couch where I was just like, oh, this is amazing.
Yeah, that was very funny. And then also Veterinarian's Hospital features just a dead Muppet. It never comes back to life or anything. It's just dead.
It starts off dead. It's dead the whole time. And then it's like, oh, well, I guess our job here is done.
I guess he's dead. Bye. And then finally, if you can believe it, the last one on January 24th, Ben Vereen, who is a Broadway actor who played Judas in the original production of Jesus Christ Superstar, among a million other things, is the guest, and Fozzie has locked his stupid ass in a magician's magic box. And guess what? The magician doesn't come back to the theater until next week. So Fozzie dies inside the box, unfortunately.
That's
the end of the episode. Actually, Crazy Harry, who has been popping up all episode long to blow Ben Vereen up into the rafters, blows up the box for Fozzie and frees him. Completely subjective stand-up moments in this one include Fozzie doing his stand-up act inside the magician's box, which he tells his jokes, and then he can't hear anybody applauding or see anybody applauding, so he just kind of like sadly asks if anybody is laughing or applauding. And then the stagehands come out and they tilt him forward so he can do a bow, which I thought was really funny. And then Ben Vereen's musical number, his first big one, Mr. Cellophane, is like big and elaborate in a way that a lot of Muppet Show sketches aren't.
Yeah, the set kind of looks like a series of brownstones, similar to like a Sesame Street set.
Yeah.
They show at the beginning, I don't know if it's like a matte painting or how they did it necessarily, but the set looks super tall and like a real street at first. And so, yeah, it is. I completely agree that the number itself is sort of unremarkable, but the set is very impressive.
Yeah, that the tallness of it, I think, was what got me. I don't know how the hell they were doing all this. Like, it's not like they recycle sets ever, basically, except the backstage set. So it's really amazing. This, just like the scale that they're doing all of this stuff at is pretty amazing. And that's it. I didn't look up anything because we're recording this on a different, earlier day of the week, and I just simply ran out of time. Sorry if anything cool happened in the end of 1976.
Well, yeah, I want to just jump in and add a few things that we could not watch during this time frame. A couple things that are vaguely dated as just happening sometime in 1977, so I'm just going to include them here. I don't actually know when they happened. Muppet Wiki doesn't say, so nobody else is going to know, obviously. But at some point in 1977, Kermit makes an appearance on a show called Good Day, which was a locally produced Boston morning talk show, presumably to promote The Muppet Show. And then also in 1977, there is a documentary which I wish we could get our hands on to watch because it sounds super interesting. It's called Sesame Street Goes to Prison. And the documentary, I'm just going to quote Muppet Wiki here, focuses on prison programs which feature the rehabilitation of inmates by working with children, all of which are initiated by training sessions with experts from the Children's Television Workshop. The film does not feature characters from Sesame Street, but rather examines child development programs based on the teachings of Sesame Street. So
Whoa.
It's this, yeah, I don't understand the full concept of it, of how, like, you stretch that out to a full, like, documentary length, but it sounds interesting enough that I would want to see it. And then on January 12th, 1977, Jim Henson and Frank Oz would appear on The Today Show for Jim Henson's 45th appearance on The Today Show. If you want to get an understanding of how many Today Show clips I haven't been able to find in my research, most of them, it seems.
We haven't watched one for a long time.
No.
Or have we only watched like one ever?
I think we've only seen a couple ever, and they were like some of the very, very first things we ever watched.
Right.
But apparently Jim Henson always was on that show, even though I can never find any clips. And he and Frank Oz were there. If we would have watched it, we would have seen reporter Kermit, and Grover was also there. And they also performed Java while they were there on the Today Show. And Muppet Wiki has some pictures from this visit to the Today Show, so I have to assume at some point it was probably on YouTube somewhere, but is not findable anymore. And then also in January 1977, on January 16th, there was a TV show called Entertainer of the Year, which was a CBS special hosted by Jackie Gleason. And basically it's just a weird award show to give a bunch of famous people random awards that people thought up for that year.
Okay.
It doesn't seem like it's tied to like an Emmys or an Oscars or anything official, but Jim Henson appeared and accepted the Special Attraction of the Year award for the Muppets.
What's that mean?
Nobody knows.
Okay.
Or at least I
Seems
don't.
like
I'm sure
maybe-
somebody who was alive at that point probably knows, but I don't have any idea.
To me, it sounds like best non-human guest star on shows or something like that.
Or like weird shit we don't know how to classify.
Yeah.
It's a special attraction.
They should just give him the Muppet Award.
The Jim Henson Award for Jim Hensoning the hardest. I wanted to ask you first, before we dive into these one by one, who were you most familiar with going into this batch?
Oh, Candice Bergen by a mile. Harvey Korman I know from, I just know who he is, from Blazing Saddles mostly probably, and apparently from being the Great Gazoo on the Flintstones. But Candice Bergen, like, I think I was the perfect age to remember my parents watching Murphy Brown. So she's kind of somebody who, she's like probably one of my first TV memories or something. She just is like a famous TV lady to me and to everyone, I'm sure.
Yeah, and she's similarly, I think, was the most famous to me going into this. And also, she's still on lots of TV shows up till today. Like, she is on The Conners as a regular character. So, like, I'm still seeing Candice.
Does she play Murphy Brown?
She does not. Although they did a Murphy Brown reboot, like, a couple of years ago.
I couldn't remember if they had done one or if it was still about to come out.
I'm
but
pretty sure they did it. But again, I never watched
Okay.
the original Murphy Brown, other than I feel like it came on like after something else I watched. So sometimes I would be watching something, Murphy Brown would start, and I'd be like, I don't understand this. I'm not an adult yet. Bye.
This is a grown-up show. Yeah. I'm watching Alf over here.
Don't pretend like you watched Alf.
I didn't watch Alf. I don't know. I agree with you, though. It does feel like it was after something I was paying more attention to.
Yeah.
I feel similarly there.
But yeah, I think if we're going to say like second and third most famous to me, it was probably Harvey Korman, just because of seeing his face in Blazing Saddles and hearing his voice in Flintstones related media. And then I couldn't figure out why Ben Vereen looked famous to me. And it was not because of his Broadway stuff. It turns out, I think what it was from, because I was like, I'm picturing him as an older man, very solemn. What was it? And he plays, in one episode of The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, he plays Will's dad.
Whoa.
He plays Will's dad in the famous episode where Will Smith has to do the crying of like, why doesn't he want me? And yeah, he plays Will's dad in that episode. And in trying to find out who Ben Vereen was, I uncovered that he was apparently accused of some very terrible things just a few years ago.
Yeah.
Some sexual assault allegations that we obviously won't get too into here. But just, Ben Vereen, not a great dude, it seems.
The rest of them I had literally never heard of in my
Yeah,
entire
Bruce
life.
Forsyth, I feel like is a name I had heard.
Have you seen Bedknobs and Broomsticks?
No.
Okay, me either. He's apparently in that. But.
And I think it could be a thing where I know his name from seeing it on the list of Muppet Show episodes.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah.
That is definitely like we're in England. This guy is really famous in England.
Yeah, but not at all to two people who were born in the late 80s. But let's go ahead and get into this Candice Bergen episode from November 29th, 1976. As we mentioned, her dad, very famous ventriloquist, he will be a guest eventually on The Muppet Show, I think in the second or third season. And
Second season, yeah.
So this might be the only family members who are guests on The Muppet Show.
Oh.
But Candice Bergen will also go on to be in the Muppets Go Hollywood special, which we already watched, actually. She will also, much like Lena Horne did last week when we talked about her, she contributes a recipe for tortellini salad to Miss Piggy's cookbook in the kitchen with Miss Piggy, which, don't worry, Sam, I ordered.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. I found it
That's
used
cool.
for $3. So this is the most feminist episode we've seen so far of The Muppet Show.
Mm-hmm.
It starts off with Kermit calling out Statler and Waldorf for being male chauvinists. That doesn't stop the Muppets or anybody else from like making fun of Miss Piggy throughout this run of episodes.
Horrible to Miss Piggy. Yep.
Yeah. But humans, that's where they draw the line. You cannot be awful to Candice Bergen.
Is this the one where Mildred is like extremely horrible to Miss Piggy?
Yes, we get the panel discussion sketch later on in the episode where Candice Bergen is playing a travel agent who also looks like a safari person.
Yeah.
I couldn't really figure out what she was doing, but I think she was good at what it was that she was doing. But yeah, a couple notes I put down about that panel discussion. One, Mildred is super rude. Like, she's only there to make fun of Miss Piggy the entire time.
And like to call her fat and stupid, basically, right?
Yeah. And obviously Miss Piggy gets her revenge by beating her up, but it is like
Yeah.
it is the start of many a year of people making fun of Miss Piggy, and the only way she gets to have her revenge is by karate chopping them.
She's in a toxic work environment and also contributing to one as well. A lot of sexual harassment on Miss Piggy's part. So, nobody's perfect in the Muppet world.
No.
But she does stomp on Mildred, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, she's doing a lot of stomping that I didn't really
I love
remember.
when she stomps people. Very visceral.
Speaking of nobody's being perfect, I noticed in this episode specifically that Sam Eagle's puppet is starting to look real rough.
Yeah, he looks weird. His head's like green in this one.
Yeah, I feel like what's happening is, this is my fully amateur puppet making opinion, is that I think they painted his foam head blue and it's slowly returning back to the like yellowish default color of foam.
Of the foam.
And because
sure.
like the top of his nose is really blue still, but the rest of him is starting to look really, really yellowish green. And you can even start to see the ring, like where the top piece of his head meets the rest of his head. And we notably, in the Ben Vereen episode, we get a brand new Sam puppet that like looks just like the Sam you know and love, like bright blue, looks great. And I think that puppet also popped up in the Titwillow sketch, because I'm assuming that one was filmed later. During this period, you can really tell that the Sam puppet is starting to reach the end of its life, because I assume it's probably the same one that was built for Sex and Violence.
For Sex and Violence a few years ago.
Phasing out.
He kind of looks like they left him in the back of a car and he got sun bleached or something.
Yeah, he's just looking like he has not been well taken care of. I wanted to, you mentioned the wire joke that happens as part of the running gag in this. And we already saw this exact same wire joke in the Florence Henderson episode.
Uh-huh. And yeah, I thought that was weird. And then Fozzie calls it out as a running gag.
Yeah.
And I thought he was referring to that he did it to Florence Henderson. I don't think he was. I almost feel like they put these in the wrong order in the episode or something. Like, he should have said, I love a good running gag the second time he did it.
Right. Not when you're starting the running gag. You don't start off a series of jokes by saying, just you wait for the next 3 of these.
They blew it out their asses on that one. So this is the first episode that we've watched that I remember watching as a child. I must have had this one on tape and watched over and over again, because the second that the put another log on the fire thing started, I could see the whole episode just like filled. No, actually, from the moment the Miss Piggy thing started, the What Now My Love, the whole episode was just like, oh yeah, I've seen all of this before, because I distinctly remember those background singers going like bum ba-da-da-dum, ba-da-da-dum. It just brought me back to my childhood, sitting in my basement watching this episode.
Oh, I don't have those memories. I feel like I have very, very vague memories of watching the Muppet Show in pieces on like Nickelodeon or whatever back in the day, but not any memories that clear. What did you think of that? The Miss Piggy one, and specifically those puppets that get more vicious as they go on and like turn in, like they're pretty cute, those sort of like Whatnot Scooter looking Muppets at the beginning, and then by the end they have vicious teeth and giant eyes and hair.
They're like Fraggles who go insane.
Yeah,
I really liked it. It's like one of those sketches that could have been on a late night show that they did in the 60s, like the early 60s or whatever. And I love a Miss Piggy singing.
Yeah, it is nice to see that beginning of that sort of diva character that she eventually becomes start to actually show, because so far we've just had her being denied a spot on the show.
Yeah.
And so for her to actually get to do a number on the show was finally nice to see that she's not just constantly held back.
And who's Kermit to deny her spot?
Yeah, what does he know?
She's the best one of the best acts we've seen so far, so he must not be that great at curating his own damn show.
Next up on the show, we then have Candice Bergen almost shooting a Muppet in the face.
Yeah.
Which I for a second, I thought she was just going to shoot him in the face.
You can. It's legal to kill Muppets. I think we've actually established that before. It is legal to kill Muppets.
But we have that sketch is the Hillbilly Singer, is apparently the name of that character, sings Put Another Log on the Fire, which is a song all about not only putting logs on a fire, but also basically the character is telling his wife all of the things she needs to do for him.
Yeah, while Candice does them all in the background.
At first, yes, she is racing around to complete all of them. And then as his requests get more and more ridiculous, she strips off her dress and is wearing like a female empowerment shirt and starts to like break things, and eventually turns to holding a gun to his face. And instead of shooting him, shoots a tire that she had previously brought in. But yeah, this was a high point of this episode for sure, was seeing not only like the message behind this sketch, but also just seeing Candice Bergen have this sort of fun and get to kind of go nuts and, again, almost shoot a Muppet in the face.
In an episode where I feel like she doesn't get to do much. Like, this is a good... If you're only going to do this on the Muppet Show, you had a good Muppet Show.
Yeah, because I think we'll get to more of her sketches, but some of them are pretty tame, and she's not like... Not that she's not contributing a lot, but it's sort of, they don't give her a lot to do in some of them.
She doesn't talk or move in one of them at all, so.
Well, let's talk about that one real quick. We'll skip around a little bit.
Okay.
That one is an art instructor is teaching Muppets how to paint, and Candice Bergen is playing the model in the middle of the room. And for some reason, all of the Muppets have decided to, instead of painting Candice Bergen, paint versions of themselves in the pose of Candice Bergen, which... I just want like a gallery wall on my wall of like all of their paintings.
All those paintings?
They're very good.
Fun, yeah. I really liked Bunsen Honeydew's one, which was like, had measurements all over it. It was
like a blueprint.
Mathy and angular. Yeah, I thought that was cool.
Whereas like Gonzo's was just like Gonzo's head on a lady body.
Yeah.
And at the end, they showed like this very abstract one, and I was like, well, that's got to be animals. And it was.
Obviously animal.
And so the art instructor tells him, like, no, you're supposed to paint Candice. Paint her. And he's like, oh. And he runs up and starts painting her body.
Those grapes she's eating are crazy. They looked fake, right? Those are fucking huge grapes.
I mean, I assume they were fake grapes. But is
she
she
was
actually eating them?
And spitting seeds out.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, I guess they weren't fake.
Maybe they got different grapes in England.
Write in
Really
if you're
big
an
purple
English
ones.
listener and let us know how big your grapes are.
Describe your grapes to us, and we'll tell you if you're right or not.
Yeah, just draw them and but make sure you measure it and let us know exactly the size of your grapes. Yeah, I like this episode a lot. I feel like it wasn't one that gets up into my top 5 or whatever because, like, I don't know, there's not a huge, like, standout moments, but I like a lot of it throughout. Like, the Swedish Chef sketch is pretty good. He cooks something so hot that steam blows off his hat. You mentioned the Rolf spot is really good, the UK spot where he has to play a song faster and faster and faster to make it in the time. But then I did not love the way this episode ends. There's a musical number called Friends that did nothing for me.
It was so lazy.
Yeah.
And it didn't match Candice Bergen at all. It's like, maybe there was a reason they sang it with her specifically, but
they also
I
didn't
agree.
seem like, I don't know, it seemed like it was like the first take. Like that they weren't really in sync on the singing. No one seemed to really, there wasn't like a story to why they were doing this or what they were doing. And it just was a weird last number to have on the show.
Yeah, there wasn't even like a fun set or anything.
No, they're just
like
in front
a
of
blue
like
background
a
with
tree.
a tree.
Yeah.
And it's one of those ones where like Hilda and Mildred and like George come out and sing, and it's just like, what are we doing here? Come on.
Yeah, it did not make a whole lot of sense. I think when you have someone like Alina Horn, like a classic singer doing that sort of thing, it makes a little bit more sense. But to have somebody who, I'm assuming Candice Bergen has sung on other things before, but this was not like a standout performance or anything, and it's covered up by a bunch of like sloppy singing from the Muppets. So I didn't really understand why that was the one to go out on.
She sang to Scred in SNL, remember?
Oh yeah, they sang a Christmas song.
I did like the very end, though, because it had a bit of rare ad-libbing.
Yes,
I think the ending always has a little bit of ad-libbing, but
Yeah,
Kermit hits him with the pie, and the pie flies onto her, and Fozzie's like, what have you done?
Yeah, you can. The ad lib often comes from something that like Kermit says or does, and Frank Oz, being Fozzie, is like calling out Jim Henson for like, "What did you do? You got pie on
Jim is probably
Candice
like-
Bergen."
Yeah. And then Jim's probably like, cool it. We're on TV.
Yeah, I feel like it's always that. It's like Jim Henson's like, let's just move on. I know, I did it. Let's just move on.
Yeah, which is very Kermit. I mean, yeah, that seems like a big part of his like personality that bleeds over to Kermit, in that seems like he's always annoyed at everybody around him all the time, to some degree.
Notably, I think in this episode, there's no Statler or Waldorf heckling.
No, only at the very beginning when they say that Candice is hot.
Yeah, and at the very, very end, obviously they get their joke after the credits,
When they
but
do their little thing.
we
yeah.
don't get any like mid-show heckling from them.
I kind of missed it. I feel like that grounds all the skits as feeling like they're happening on the same stage.
Yeah, I think we get very different versions of what the show is in this batch.
Mm-hmm.
Like we have this one where, again, there's no Statler and Waldorf, so we don't see a lot of that. But then we have later on in the Harvey Korman episode, there's no backstage plot at all. Everything is like happening on stage. So we get both ends of the spectrum with that. But before we get to Harvey Korman, we have to talk about Bruce Forsyth, this man that neither of us knew.
Well, can I just say that I didn't love the Candice Bergen episode because I think this is one where I think it would have been really fun to have her tied into it more and having more conversations with the cast and like being backstage or doing something like that, because I think she's like really charismatic and fun. So she's like one of my, I wish she could have come back in a later season and done a full like real episode kind of person.
Yeah, if she had had more like a Valerie Harper type of plot, I think it would have worked better, because even like she's not doing a lot in the talk spot other than like taking the pictures of Kermit, but I feel like her interactions with Kermit feel very natural. So I think she could, like, yeah, the fact that she doesn't come back and do more with the Muppets in anything other than a cookbook and one Muppets Go Hollywood thing is kind of a shame.
Her dad gets to hang out with them though, so, you know.
Yeah. But on December 6th, 1976, we have the Bruce Forsyth episode of the Muppet Show airing. Bruce Forsyth will be kind of reconnected with the Muppets in the future. During the 90s, Miss Piggy will be with Bruce on Bruce's Guest Night, which is a show, I'm guessing, or a special where they will sing together. And then in 2008, Piggy recorded a happy 80th birthday message to Bruce Forsyth for a BBC television special.
That's sweet.
Yeah.
So he must be like extremely celebrated in England.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the fact that they did a TV special called Happy Birthday Brucey for his 80th birthday. Like, I feel like only
It's
like...
called Happy Birthday
Yeah.
Brucey?
I feel like Betty White's like the only person who would get that in America.
Yeah, that's true.
But this episode opens up with something we've seen before, Sam.
The Smurfs.
Yeah, it's the Smurfs from the Herb Albert bit that they did. It's like the exact same sketch they did on the Herb Albert special. Speaking of things we've seen before, we also get the Gawky Birds returning that we previously saw in the Julie Andrews My Favorite Things special. I like this use of them a lot more than the Julie Andrews one, because in that they were just sort of dancing in the background. And in this one, a Gawky Bird is interrupting Bruce Forsyth while he dances and sings.
And Bruce is terrified of him. Well, like of her, I suppose. The first time he does a little spin and sees the bird, he's like, bird.
And even later on in the episode, he like calls back to it and he's like, oh God, I hope that bird isn't here.
Yeah, I thought that was a really good sketch. It's amazing how black they can get the backgrounds and the outfit that people are wearing. And they do that a lot.
Yeah, I don't like there must be a very like I'm sure people who are more into theater lighting and stuff know exactly how they're doing it, but it does look extremely impressive that there is a wall of light that is hitting the bird and not hitting the puppeteer at all.
And it does make me wonder every time how much of it you could see if you were watching it in HD, though.
Right, if they were filming it today with like some HD cameras, or if these were filmed on film and like had a high-res transfer now or something like that, like how bad would it look? Because there's certain things.
The whole man's body.
Yeah, there's certain things that you can always see specifically in this episode at the very beginning, which is a thing we don't talk about much because it's kind of the same joke every time. Gonzo goes to hit the O in the Muppet Show sign and something happens. In this one, because of the modern transfers on these things, you can see there's a shape cut out of it beforehand.
Oh, yeah.
And so when he
like
hits
the cartoon door thing we were talking about last time.
Exactly. Yeah. And so he hits it and it sort of explodes, but you kind of could really see that coming.
That part's going to break out.
A couple of things that I thought were interesting about sketches that I don't normally find interesting. The At the Dance sketch features a monster who asks if it's okay that he lights up, like having a cigarette, one would assume. And instead, he has a bunch of lights on his head. And
his hair's filled with Christmas lights, and his nose lights up too.
Yeah, and the lights in the room conveniently go out at the exact same time his lights turn on. But it looks great. I think it's an interesting, like, new, different thing that we don't often see from them, which is always exciting. Because when we hit the Muppet Show episodes, there was a part of me that was just like, well, I guess we're going to be seeing a lot of the same stuff for a while. But that's not the case. They're still adding some interesting puppetry in.
They're putting lights in Muppets these days.
Wow. What's next?
I really liked I'm My Own Grandpa, too. Just because it reminds me of that The Stupids, you know, that movie, The Stupids.
Yeah.
I've never seen it, but I've only seen, like, the trailer where he sings I'm My Own Grandpa.
Oh, man. I feel like I watched that movie too much as a kid, but I also haven't seen it since I was, like, 8. So I don't remember anything except their cat is named Dog and their dog is named Cat.
Well, there you go. It sounds like a really good movie to me.
Agreed. I always love the UK spots, no matter what they are, pretty much. And I also love the Go-Go Lala Jubilee Jug Band.
They are Fraggles, is a thing I wrote down. They just they're Fraggles.
I mean, they're fraggly. I think it was in this one, it was at least in one of the jug bands in this batch. You could see one of the background jug band performers clearly wasn't being framed in the shot properly because we had 3 Muppets really close to the screen and there's like 2 in the background, and the one that's in the background keeps like trying to lean either left or right to be like be between 2 of the other ones, and it's always like a second too late, so I can feel like it's just that performer looking down at their monitor and be like, damn it, get out of my way, damn it, stop it.
I think you can see in the picture on Muppet Wiki.
Yeah,
it's the lady one in the background who's just behind the one who looks like Boober's head.
Yeah,
Boober, is he the wacky one? Which one's the wacky one?
I mean, they're all kind of wacky.
Wimbley's the really wacky one, though, right?
Yeah.
Wembley's the Dave Cooley.
I was just going to say that exact same sentence.
He's always reminded me of Dave Cooley.
Yes. I was literally going to say the Uncle Joey one.
Yeah. See, that's why we're making this podcast together, because we're the exact same person, and it's important to have 2 of the exact same person hosting a podcast.
That's what they say. Who needs dynamics? I did like in the talk spot in this episode, we mentioned the sort of bartering system that was happening earlier, but there is the cute woodpecker puppet that pops up. That was a sentence. That it introduces like this other world of currency that like initially it's like, okay, we're trading a pig and 2 rabbits for a duck. It's like, all right, well, here's your change. It's a woodpecker.
Yeah. I think that's why I liked it so much, because I liked it so much that the joke was that this is how it works on every TV show.
Yeah.
Like, these are the kind of stuff they trade everywhere. Bruce believed the Muppets were real. I believe that of him.
Yeah, and I think we see that a lot in the Fozzie sketch, which again is something that I like, where it starts off as the running gag backstage, but then it turns into an onstage thing where Fozzie is really worried about the hecklers, Statler and Waldorf, and Bruce is going to help him get back at them. And he helps him too well. And Fozzie just
because Fozzie becomes a jerk.
Yeah, he goes over the line, and Statler and Waldorf start to get real sad.
He makes Statler actually sad. Yeah.
But yeah, it's like similar to when Joel Grey was like trying to help out Gonzo. Where you're like, oh yeah, like he sees him as another performer. He is a peer who he's trying to help out.
I also like it when the backstage skits actually bleed over into the show, which is kind of why I was disappointing that Gonzo didn't go out and drag in the into that one episode. Not to get ahead of ourselves, but like Gonzo doesn't end up doing anything on stage in the one where that's the whole backstage thing, which is kind of weird. Yeah,
because it kind of just ends up being that both Kermit and Scooter decide Gonzo's not worth it.
Yeah, he's trash to them.
Yeah. And now an episode that I thought was going to be way more annoying than it ended up being. It's the Harvey Korman episode from December 13th, 1976.
I had a feeling that you would think that episode was going to be annoying. He just seemed like the kind of comedian that you don't like.
Well, I think I like Harvey Korman. I thought this was going to be worse because of the Star Wars Holiday Special.
Oh.
Because Harvey
Who's
Korman,
he in that?
He is everyone. He has like 4 or 5 different characters he plays, and they're all awful.
And they suck.
And so
I forgot about that.
Yeah, he's like the robot droid,
the salesman guy, or like the TV. Yeah,
he's like the Julia Child robot. He's so many bad characters in that I was fully prepared for him to be like. I was like, oh, this was what variety show Harvey Korman was like. I don't want that in my Muppets. I already have to deal with it in my Star Wars. I don't want it in my Muppets. And so I was pleasantly surprised that he was not bad at all.
He was fun.
Yeah, I especially liked I think he is more of a like character actor as opposed to like Bruce Forsyth, who is like playing himself. But I think he does a really good job of doing that, especially in the Animal Tamer sketch we talked about with Thog, where he just does a really, really strong job. And like other than that, he mostly is a chicken. But
aside from the fact that they're being mean to Thog, which I love, I think that was one of the best sketches that we've seen. Like not just because they were being mean to Thog, but I really like that.
I was wondering if that sketch would actually turn you around on Thog a little bit.
I wouldn't say that it didn't. I think that's a better use of him. Like we said earlier, like this was a Thog that did make me uncomfortable, but I like that I had the context of hating him so much before I saw this skit. Gave me an extra level of enjoyment.
This episode has a couple interesting things to me. One, the fact that it has no backstage plot. There's only one backstage scene, and that's Harvey Korman interacting with Rolf and Muppy, which is in
a really weird non-joke. Like I didn't even get it. Really?
Yeah, it was sort of like saving the trees because dogs pee on trees was kind of...
But what does that have to do with Harvey Korman?
No idea.
And even he kind of says like, why are you talking to me? Go away.
Yeah, it kind of like was one of those where I thought I had spaced out and missed something, and then I rewound it. It was like, nope, that's the whole joke. But then in the beginning, I think this was like starting off, I was a little worried about the episode. And then the first thing we see always is one of Fozzie's jokes during the opening theme. And he just like no-sells his opening joke and like tries to be like, this is a bad joke. I'm sorry, guys. And I was like, Fozzie, this is one of the best jokes you've told in an opening number. And
what was it? Do you remember?
Yeah, he says something about like, my brother's house is so dirty, his dog tried to bury his bone in the living room carpet.
Oh, yeah. And he says, I didn't get it either.
Yeah.
It's a really easy joke to get, Fozzie. You wrote it, you idiot. Do you not get it?
Well, and it's no worse than any of his other jokes, and if anything, it's better than a lot of them.
I think, Fozzie's main problem is he's got no self-esteem. Yeah. He's perfectly funny. I like that extra verse that Kermit sings in this first season to introduce the guest star is what I'm here to do. I like it better than what they ultimately land on, and especially like it because Kermit, by the end of this, like in the later episodes, he's like dancing around so much and bopping around all over the place and like really getting into it.
Yeah, I don't know if it like depends on the guest or if it's depending on like when they filmed the episode or if Jim Henson was just in a good mood. But yeah, there's times where it's like, to introduce our guest star, like he's so like excited and just like dancing around and like doing motions with Kermit's arms and head that you don't ever see anywhere else.
Never see him do. Yeah, he's just so much happier in those moments than he is in the rest of the show.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier that we get 2 Electric Mayhem performances in this episode, which is one rare on its own that we get like, 2 performances. But one of them is also weird because it ends with Kermit like coming out on stage like a late night host to interview Animal.
Yeah, I thought that was very interesting. It's like they didn't have enough material to fill this whole episode up, so they really were like scrambling for stuff.
There was actually something about that in Muppet Wiki where it said like portions of this episode were taped later than Harvey's material, including most of Kermit's introductions, the opening theme bits, and Statler and Waldorf's stuff. So maybe there was like they were filling for time or something, and maybe that's why. Maybe Harvey Korman's schedule was really packed because that's why maybe he couldn't do more backstage or while he was doing the chicken suit. I don't know. We're speculating at this point. But the fact that they acknowledged that they did film some stuff after he was done feels like maybe they had to fill some time.
Maybe he swore too much for them to use as material.
He just brought his Blazing Saddles personality over.
I liked the little Animal interview, though. I don't believe that he's only been playing drums for 5 years, though. What else would he be doing with the rest of his life?
I mean, maybe that's the movie we need to pitch to Disney. Animal's biopic.
Yeah. Maybe he was a normal guy before he started drumming.
Oh, man, I just got sad because I really want now like a Walk the Line, Ray-style music biopic about the Electric Mayhem.
Oh, that would be really good.
Right?
Oh, now I'm sad, too.
Yeah. Maybe we can like get hired by Disney or whatever, and we can make like a short 12-minute YouTube version of that.
That sounds good.
Or like a trailer.
We can handle that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe that's all that this idea has, really.
That might be true. Much like Muppets. This idea maybe doesn't have legs. We have some more houses, talking houses, you know. I don't feel
I feel
great.
like the show's bored of the talking houses at this point. Like, they don't even want to have them on there.
Yeah, I think it's a thing that they built some really expensive sets, some really expensive Muppets here at these houses, and they're going to use them. But it feels like, they
just don't really fit in.
No. And then we have the second Electric Mayhem performance, which is the UK spot, which, again, makes more sense that they would do 2 performances because one isn't going to be seen by a lot of people.
Right.
And that one's pretty simple. They just play Sweet Tooth Jam with Animal yelling jam over and over.
Mm-hmm.
But again, anytime we have Electric Mayhem content, I'm all in.
Yeah, it is. It's so weird that there were 2 of them, especially when they haven't shown up really on the show much at all.
Yeah. And I think it
this.
caught me off guard when they started performing the second time. Like, they introduced like the Electric Mayhem, and I was like, wait, again? Like, that feels like a mistake almost at this point.
Yeah.
I did.
Maybe it was. I wonder how they chose what the UK spot was. Maybe they just.
Yeah, maybe they filmed a bunch of them and they were just like, I don't know, put it in this one.
They didn't really care that much. Yeah.
I did have a small note about the 2 of the things we skipped over. The panel discussion, again, turns into a Piggy insult corner where the whole thing is just making fun of Piggy. And then I had this thought during the At the Dance segment in this episode that it seems like Mildred and George are pretty happy together.
Yeah, they are. They're in a very stable relationship, and they have good conversations. And even though George is kind of a dud, Mildred still seems to like him.
And Mildred seems to maybe have kids, so that aren't with George. So maybe he's a stepdad.
They found each other later in life. George is a stepdad. Yeah.
I feel like we'll have to do like an episode for like maybe our last episode of season 1. We can do sort of an in memoriam segment for all these Muppets that don't come back in season 2.
Oh yeah, that's a good idea. I don't love Mildred. I don't like looking at her. I just don't really get what her whole deal is. And it seems like Miss Piggy kind of fills a lot of the roles that she fills, especially in the Charles Aznavour episode.
Well, I feel like between
that she's there, but
between Piggy and Hilda, we get a Mildred.
Totally. I don't know what her role on the show is. Like, what is she? Is she a performer or a backstage person? She's always on these talk panels as like a doctor. She's like the smart person.
Yeah, they always give her a bunch of qualifications at the end where she has like a master's or a PhD and all this stuff, and it like changes in various episodes. But I think we're supposed to like understand that she is a smart lady.
I didn't mind the Piggy insults in this panel discussion too much because she was kind of giving it as good as she was getting it.
That's true, and the whole point is that he's trying to get her to fight with him.
Yeah, and I liked when he said that'll be the first time she ever scored in her life. Does that mean have sex?
I believe it did.
Okay.
Yes.
Miss Piggy's a virgin?
I mean, at least according to Harvey Korman's insult.
Yeah.
I don't think we need to speculate about if Miss Piggy's actually a virgin or not.
She couldn't possibly be. That's my take on it. But, well, we won't get into it deeper. You're right.
But then we get Harvey Korman as a chicken.
Yeah.
Just because he's upset that he is the token person on the show.
That was a little uncomfortable.
It's a little uncomfortable. Yeah, it didn't go as far as it could have, thankfully. But it's also weird because I get that he is not a Muppet, but like Wayne and Wanda are people.
Yeah.
So it's also sort of weird of like, okay, I don't really, yeah, I understand your logic, but I don't necessarily agree with it.
I feel like after watching all the Muppet, because that was a complaint I had about the Muppet movie too, where it's like when they're in the lady's office at the end, like making her sneeze, she's like, I hate animals, but like more than half of them are people Muppets.
Yeah.
But at this point, after watching all the Muppet stuff, I do feel like Muppets have been established as a different race. There are not human Muppets. There are only Muppets that look more like humans than others. Like Pokemon.
So Wayne and Wanda are the Mr. Mime of Muppets.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
All Pokemon are the same species, kind of, in a way. They just all look a little different.
See, and I want to follow that logic, but then we have times where like Rolf is treated like a real dog and Kermit's treated like a real frog. So I don't know where that line between Muppet and reality is, which feels like too much of an existential question for this podcast to tackle, but also seems like the exact question this podcast should tackle.
And even on top of that, there are pigs that are more pig-like than Miss Piggy.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they still look the same. Like they're not like, it's not like a goofy Pluto situation. It's just a naked pig puppet.
But there are goofy Pluto situations I think we've alluded to on this before.
Because Muffy and Rolf.
In this episode, we have Muppy and Rolf backstage. One of them is talking and the other one's just a dog.
You know what? Some Pokemon can talk and some can't. So,
oh man,
there we go. Do you ever think about how they're just puppets, though? Do you think about that a lot or not?
I do and I don't. I think 80% of the time I am not thinking about them being puppets, specifically when it's like puppets we've seen so many times, like Kermit and Fozzie to me are just characters at this point in the show. I think it's times when they're either doing something where I'm trying to figure out where the human is, or when it's a completely new style of puppet and I'm like, oh, how are they doing this? Sort of like the Smurfs, where it's like, I don't really understand how those work and I'm trying to figure it out. But like jumping ahead a little bit in this one, in halfway down the stairs, I'm just picturing like Jerry Nelson under, like in a Harry Potter situation, underneath the stairs, with his hand just like stuck out of the stair. And yeah, I'm just like picturing the cross section of a lot of these things is sometimes interesting.
I just think a lot about how the set is really high up in the air and it's a bunch of people with their arms up in the air with their hands in there.
Well, and that's the thing is like they talk about how often their arms would get so tired from doing this. But I also noticed during this batch that there's times when clearly they're going to be like sort of crouched down as well, and they're not just like sitting on the floor. They're gonna be like crouched, so their like legs are engaged, and they're like they like have to be in pretty good shape for people who don't look like they're in pretty good shape.
Yeah, everybody in the 70s was like skinny and buff for some reason. I don't understand how that happened, but they were. Maybe
all the terrible flavors of Oreos that exist now didn't exist back then, so people weren't nomming down on all the snack foods.
They only had regular thin. They didn't even double stuff Oreos back then.
No,
so.
They couldn't afford it. Jimmy Carter, inflation, all that stuff.
In this economy? Come on.
I did want to say real quick that it's funny that Wayne and Wanda did I Get a Kick Out of You, because that's one of those songs that is used in so many things all the time. But nobody ever uses the later verses when it's a children's program, because the lines in the later verses are, some, they may go for a cocaine. I'm sure that if I took even one sniff, it would bore me terrifically too.
What?
Yeah. They just reference.
What were people up to back then?
But I did like that we get to see TR, our old rooster friend from Muppet Musicians of Bremen.
Yeah.
Just for a second, he's like the leader of a military chicken parade.
For some reason.
Well, so it's only there because you can refer to a military thing as an outfit, like a military outfit.
Oh.
And so Harvey Korman is marching with them and says he wants to get out of this chicken outfit.
You're so smart.
Look at that.
I didn't get it at all. I thought he was just talking about how he was sewn into a chicken outfit.
No, it took me a second because he said it and I was like, that has to be a joke. Like, it can't just be the joke is that he's in the costume. And I was like, oh yeah, outfit is a thing.
I think after the dog backstage thing was not a joke. I just took it at face value.
Just nothing he is saying is supposed to be funny.
Yeah. This man's stuck in a nightmare. He's just surrounded by Muppets, sewn into a costume. That's his life.
You did mention that you liked the halfway down the stairs segment, which is interesting because of your hatred of Sir Robin.
I think I have a confession to make now.
Uh-oh.
I think I might be starting to like Robin. I've always liked halfway down the stairs. I think I'll like him less when he becomes like the little nephew who's bopping around and wanting Kermit to do stuff.
I was going to say, you like him now that he's not doing anything except for singing one sweet song and then not talking in other sketches.
Yeah. And the sweet voice, who's the guy who does his voice?
Jerry Nelson.
I can't remember. Yes, Jerry Nelson's sweet voice. It's okay on Robin, I think. It doesn't sound as like phony as Thog. I think in comparison to Thog, that made me like Robin more because I saw how bad it could get. So now, if I have to listen to that voice, if it's coming out of Robin, that's better. But I just think this is a great song and incredibly, I don't know, it's beautiful.
Yeah, no, this is one of those that when I think I mentioned back when I was talking about why I like Gonzo so much as one of my favorite Muppets, and it's because he gets a lot of the very sincere moments and specifically like a sincere song, like I'm going to go back there someday in the Muppet movie, and this is like right there with that song in like best songs performed by Muppets ever, and yeah, it's I don't know, it's just a very sincere, heartfelt song performed completely straight, and I love it. Now we have Charles Aznavour. This was the episode from January 17th, 1977. We are into 1977 now. And yeah, I like this man. I don't know this man at all. Like, even after looking him up.
I liked him too.
And learning about him, I'm like, yeah, I still don't even know his songs that he's famous for. I don't know anything about him.
He sold like 400 million records. Like, that you mean nothing to me.
I thought for sure, like, when I looked him up, I would find a song that I'm like, oh, that song. Nope, didn't happen.
Just Euro famous, not American famous.
I don't know if you noticed this. For me, at least, I picked this up when I was watching this on Disney+. This episode kind of looked bad as far as, like, cinematography, camera quality, film quality, whatever it was. It, like, looked a little desaturated and a little rougher than most of our episodes.
I think this one, specifically the intro, maybe looked way more desaturated than the rest of the intros have looked. Yeah. Even though it's the same footage, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. It's it definitely had a worse quality to it. But then we get to see an old friend, Sam. We get to see our I Feel Pretty mere monster sketch that we saw back on Julie on Sesame Street.
Yeah.
It's the same sketch, but I think like we're kind of finding on this podcast, the more times they do something, the less good it is.
Yeah. The first one had a more interesting, like, dynamic angle, I think, or like you were looking at her through the window. Or
it was like a
something
3/4 angle. Yeah. And this one's just straight on. You basically are the mirror.
Yeah. And then the Beautiful Day Monster comes in at the end and said, did we say this was on Julie at Sesame Street? Yeah. And it was a different version of it. I mean, the same song, and the same idea, but not the same footage or anything. And a different monster comes in at the end of that one on Julie on Sesame Street who matches her better.
Yeah.
And he's like spiky and fuzzy in the same way that she is. But Beautiful Day Monster doesn't really read as like creepy monstery enough to me, I guess, to make it make sense.
Right. For those that don't know what we're talking about, because I feel like I realized we didn't explain what's happening. We have just like a generic lady Muppet staring into a mirror, and she's getting ready while she's singing I Feel Pretty. And then she starts taking off her nose and her eyes and her hair and reveals like this sort of goblin troll-esque punk rock looking monster underneath. And so that's how she's getting ready to go on a date with a monster. And like Sam said, in the previous version, there's like a little like spiky monster that comes and picks her up for a date. And so it's very clear that like, oh, she was getting ready to look like her date. Whereas in this one, yeah, like you said, Beautiful Day Monster has kind of become just like an everyman on the Muppet Show at this point.
He does look like a Chicken McNugget, kind of. Or he's like he looks like Grimace.
He's like a slimmed down Grimace
combined. Yeah, and he is just like a normal guy. He's been in a bunch of skits where he's not acting monstrous in any way. And it was like that was the best part of Julie on Sesame Street, I think, by a long shot. And it wasn't even the best part of this episode, which isn't one of my favorite Muppet Show episodes. So they did something wrong here.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of slight misses in this episode. And next up, we have the tall Mildred sketch, as I label it in my notes, where Charles Aznavour is just dancing with Mildred, and there's some very creepy Muppets people dancing in the background.
They don't start off creepy. I don't feel like they seem creepy, but they're human bodies with Muppet heads. Just like the band in Hey Cinderella, kind of. And it's not too weird at first, but then the longer you look at them, the more it's like, I don't want to look at this anymore.
Yeah, I put in my notes, they look like Doctor Who villains. And I think I maybe said that about the ones in Hey Cinderella previously, but that's all I can see. Is they look like cursed humans that somebody needs to help and save them from their life.
Like a Muppet bit them and their head swelled up into that.
I think it's worse because they don't have a mouth or like any like real expression. They just look so blank-faced that they look very sad and cursed.
And one of them, I think, is the face of the Muppet that Rita Moreno danced with at the beginning of her episode.
I think so,
but
too.
He didn't look creepy for some reason. I guess because he's moving around so much. And like that one has more personality, especially the lady ones who don't get to have big eyebrows. Look really scary.
Yeah, they look extremely sad when they get their close-ups. I want to help them.
Yes. And like that, like a human woman's body with a big Muppet head is just not doing it for me. But they should have picked a different Muppet to dance with as well, I think.
Yeah, it's a little bizarre to see Mildred, one, look so tall, but also this is one of those puppetry moments that I do think about a lot because I'm like, okay, there's clearly somebody down, like on their knees next to Charles Aznavour with their hand up in the air. Presumably it's Richard Hunt because he would perform Mildred most of the time. But you can see that Mildred's right hand is not being puppeteered by anyone because they could only fit one person down there. And so Mildred's right hand is either being held by Charles Aznavour or at times just falls limply next to her. And yeah, I don't understand necessarily why Mildred is there.
But what's done is done. We can't go back and replace her. Because Miss Piggy would have been better, right?
Oh, for sure. And it would have like set the tone for later on when Miss Piggy is super into his French accent that they already had a moment together.
Yeah. There was a bit of At the Dance that I liked where in a lot of them we see Animal dancing with a lady and he dips her and smashes her against the ground. And in this one, she dips him and smashes him against the ground to show him what it's like. And he comes up and says, I like that. And I like when he says, I like that. After he gets hurt very badly.
I was looking up that Muppet that is in, I think, all of the At the Dances. And sometimes she dances with Animal. Sometimes she dances with Ralph. On Muppet Wiki, she's just labeled as Sexy Muppet.
She's not even the sexiest Muppet.
Elaborate.
Well, okay. I will if you insist. I think Miss Piggy's sexier than her.
All
Miss
right.
Piggy has cleavage. This lady's wearing a turtleneck sweater. I think Janice is a little bit sexier than her, too, because Janice was specifically made to look a certain level of sexy, I feel like. I wouldn't describe this one as Sexy Muppet. This one's Lady Muppet.
All right. Well, that's it. That's the Sam's Sexy Muppet Corner.
I don't know why you're shaming me for...
I did not...
Miss Piggy.
There was no shame. I was genuinely curious of who you were going to rank as the sexiest Muppets.
Who would you rank as the sexiest Muppets?
I mean,
You're
I
not
feel
gonna
like...
say anybody because you're a coward.
I mean, I feel like you're right to probably put Janice in that top list. And again, because we are both like heterosexual men, there are only like 5 lady Muppets to choose from.
There's 3 choices. So, there's Sexy Muppet, there's Janice, and there's Miss Piggy.
And then you get into like Mildred and Hilda.
Yeah.
Which I am going to miss Hilda as a character, but I don't know.
Me too.
She's not going to make my top sexiest Muppet list. There's a good Kermit moment in this episode when Gonzo comes in wearing the dress and high heels, where Kermit turns to the camera and is like, hubba hubba what?
Yeah, I wrote that down too.
It's so weirdly out of character to like not only like mug to the camera, but also for Kermit to say hubba hubba what?
Kermit's his facial expression game is so strong in these episodes too.
I as much as I don't like the panel discussion sketches, I like that version of Kermit who is like, I'm here to host a show. Look at me being my host self. I like his characters he gets to play, and like when he's the reporter, obviously he's great. But yeah, I like panel discussion Kermit, but I don't like anything else really related to the panel discussions.
This was a weird panel discussion in this one, too, because there's no human on it.
Yeah, they didn't
So it
include
feels
Charles.
even more pointless than usual. He's too French, I suppose.
I feel like these episodes all sort of have a lackluster musical number towards the end, where I guess Harvey Korman didn't, but like Bruce Forsyth and Candice Bergen and now Charles Aznavour have the last song before the sign-off, and all of them are kind of just meh. Like he does Inchworm.
This one they tried so hard, though.
Yeah,
I feel
it's a big, elaborate set. We have like a school in the background where they're teaching some math, while Charles Aznavour, like, I like the way he interacts with the Inchworm puppet. Like he seems really into this performance, but at the same time, the song and the story behind the song just do nothing for me.
I think actually the Inchworm puppet is kind of too hard to see and doesn't work quite right and doesn't look quite right. It just is like, it's close, but it's not quite right.
Yeah, I put in my notes for this episode. It was a fun episode, but that didn't really have anything to do with the guest.
That his talk spot is very good, though, I think. He's not in the rest of the episode, really.
No. But somebody who is in their episode quite a bit is Ben Vereen, the January 24th, 1977 episode. I don't actually remember if he's in the episode that much. That was just a segue that I chose to jump on.
He's actually really not at all, I don't
Well,
think.
He gets at least 2 musical numbers, so
Yeah.
there's that.
Yeah.
He has 3 musical numbers. This episode, it was noted in Muppet Wiki, features the revised puppets of both Janice and Sam being used. This one, again, has the numbers we talked about previously with the Mr. Cellophane, with the impressive set, but again, not really a standout musical moment. And then this one also features the backstage story with Fozzie being locked in a box, which, again, has its moments and is, I think, very well done on Frank Oz's parts. There's even a small moment that I'm pretty sure was ad-libbed, where he's, like, trying to yell out the box, and then he stops. He's like, "I'm stuck!"
Yeah.
The only thing I wrote about the At the Dance segment in this one is, one, you have the Rolling Stones visit the end, where it's just big old rocks rolling
Big
through.
rocks, smoosh 'em.
And there was a pretty good joke from one of the pigs who was like, "Oh, yeah, my cousin's at the football game." And they're like, "Oh, what position does he play?" And he's like, "Oh, the football."
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
Sometimes the pigs are very comfortable talking about how they're made into food and leather, but sometimes it makes them quite mad. I guess they can talk about it. It's okay.
And then we get a very earnest UK spot in this one with Rolf just playing for Elise. And like sometimes he sort of like stumbles and hurts his hand on the keyboard.
Or he like messes up and he's just like, sorry.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's like a planned mess up or if it's just like Jim Henson ad-libbing as someone else messes up the piano playing.
Not my favorite UK spot. Didn't really get what they were going for.
Yeah, I do like the courage to just have Rolf just play a song on the piano. It's sort of like the spot he did with Zoot, where they just played the theme from Love Story. It's like, yeah, we're just going to play a song for you. No joke. One thing I found was funny, and I think it's only really funny if you've read Brian J. Jones's book, is that there's a Statler and Waldorf bit where Waldorf says it's time for a tea break, and Statler complies by knocking the teacup off the ledge and breaking it. And I think that's funny, and the reason it's in there is because they note in that book that the English crew had to take tea breaks every day during shooting, and that this frustrated Jim and the other American puppeteers who were like, wait, we have to stop for a tea break every day?
Isn't that just like lunch?
I think it was on top of lunch. I think there was lunch and tea.
Oh, well. Let them live. Let them drink their tea. It's so precious to them.
And yeah, the only other note I had about this episode, maybe you have more that you want to talk about, but it ends with an actual good musical number with Ben Vereen singing Pure Imagination from Willy Wonka.
I
and the
hated
Chocolate Factory.
it.
You hated it? Why?
I just thought it was boring.
I think the visuals are a little boring because they're kind of leaning on the fact that they have a chroma key, like boss man puppet kind of dancing in the background. But at the end,
It kind of freaked me out too.
At the end, you have like 12 different weird monster Muppets come out, a lot of which we haven't really seen before or haven't seen in this context, coming out to perform with Ben Vereen. And I don't know. I kind of like the little monster jumble they had at the end.
It didn't excite me. I did like the Wayne and Wanda in this one though. I thought that was funny. They're singing the love song and then the hot. It is the sexy Muppet.
Told you.
Wow, the sexy Muppet walks by and he goes, hubba, hubba.
Yeah, Wayne and Wanda's love, not as true as we thought.
Are they in love? I almost feel like they're like brother and sister or something.
I buy that.
And the love part is just an act.
I forgot to mention, one of our favorites, the reason for the song Pure Imagination to happen was because Droop was there,
Yeah.
being all sad on a rooftop.
Referred to by name and everything.
Yeah.
And on a roof for some reason. You think he's on the roof of the Muppet studio?
That's a good question. I don't know where that roof is. There's like a sign in the background that you can't really see what it says.
I can't read it.
But yeah, Droop's being all sad up there, and Ben Vereen walks up to cheer him up and sings in Pure Imagination because he's feeling a little down.
Yeah, it was nice that Droop was there.
Yeah. There's also in that sketch the first appearance of Timmy Monster, who will become a more regular part of the Muppet Show in future seasons. But he's basically just a big bluish-green Muppet who, in this, looks a little different from what he will look like when he eventually starts making regular appearances. But we got another giant Muppet lumbering around. But overall, I think that was a pretty good batch of Muppet Show episodes, Sam.
It was in the middle of the 3 batches we've watched so far. It didn't hit the heights that the other ones have hit, I feel like.
Yeah,
but it wasn't
agree.
bad. There were more bland episodes, though.
Yeah, these were all fine episodes that I would put on and not mind having on. The Charles and Aznavour one, I feel like, is one you could skip and not really miss.
Yeah.
But I think these were all good episodes.
The Bruce Forsyth one actually was maybe one of my favorites, so we watched so far. It is 1, 2, 3. It's in my top 5 right now.
Nice. Yeah, it's always nice when you are surprised by a host because you don't know their work, you don't know what to expect, and then they come in and they're like a great guest for the Muppets. Well, then, shall we move on to our Muppet of the Week?
Yes, please. I'm sure you'll have a lot to say about him.
I think more so than some of the other members of Electric Mayhem. Our Muppet of the Week this week is Zoot, the balding, blue-haired, bluish-green-skinned saxophone player for the Electric Mayhem. He is our last member of the Electric Mayhem that we need to talk about, aside from Lips, who we'll talk about eventually when he shows up in Season 5. But, he barely counts. So Zoot, according to his performer and builder Dave Goles, is just a 50-year-old burnt-out musician, which feels pretty accurate. I know at times we've had puppeteers talk about their character in ways that we're like, I don't know about that. This one feels spot on, so good job, Dave. It's notable to say that Zoot both plays in the Electric Mayhem, but also in the Muppet Show Orchestra, where he blows the final note on his saxophone during the closing credits. And when I was looking into Zoot, I saw that a lot of the early Muppet Show merch had Zoot included with Miss Piggy, Kermit, and Fozzie, and Scooter and stuff. So I think because of his very notable appearance in the end credits every single week, people were like, hey, I know that guy. That's the only reason I can think of that they would make a lot of merch of Zoot. But his skin color, his hair length, and the size of his nose and glasses will change a bit throughout the years. He always kind of looks roughly the same, but they kind of make him a little cooler. In the 90s, they put it what are those Samuel L. Jackson hats called?
Oh, a Kangol?
Yeah, kind of like a Kangol hat on him in the 90s, as opposed to his fedora that he's wearing in this. His original design was done by Bonnie Erickson, and apparently she created Zoot after seeing the Argentine saxophonist Gato Barbieri. And if you Google Gato Barbieri and look at images, you're going to say, hey, why has this man not sued the Muppets into bankruptcy for creating a Muppet version of him? If you want to Google it, Sam, real quick, and give your live reaction.
That's a Zoot.
That's just Zoot. That's just Zoot as a human.
That's just Zoot. He's got the hat, the same damn hat.
Yeah, I'm very surprised that this man, maybe he loves it. Maybe it's a nice little tribute to him that he enjoys. I wonder if there's a real world counterpart for each person in the Electric Mayhem that we can piece together a human band.
Floyd's a weird one to me because he's based on Sgt. Pepper, but he doesn't actually look like a Beatle or somebody who'd even like the Beatles.
I think you could put Ringo in the Floyd position.
I suppose so.
So you just get Dr. John, who Dr. Teeth was based on.
Yeah.
You get Gateau, who Floyd is based on, and then you get Ringo Starr to be in there. And we have a real live Electric Mayhem.
Keith Richards is kind of Janice, right?
It was supposed to be Mick Jagger, I think, was the original inspiration.
Right.
I don't think they share much in common in Janice's final
they
form.
They got the lips, though.
I guess
right?
that's true. Yeah, just throw him in there.
And I think Keith Moon maybe was somebody who was an animal.
He's going to be harder to get. To be fair, I think multiple of the people we have named are dead. So it's going to be
he's going to be harder to get because he is expired.
Yes.
That's true.
But I think Dr. John is also dead. So this is going to be a hard band to form. But Zoot debuted in The Muppet Show Sex and Violence in 1975 and has appeared in every Muppet movie except Kermit's Swamp Years, which, makes sense. It's like a prequel.
Yeah, he didn't know Kermit yet.
Yeah. And unlike a lot of Muppets, if not every Muppet not performed by this man, Zoot only has one performer, and that is Dave Goelz, who has performed him since 1975, with the one exception of Kevin Clash performing him in an episode of the Jim Henson Hour that I'm guessing Dave Goelz either was just busy or was performing another puppet in that scene or something.
Was a different person at the time, yeah.
But yeah, Zoot has been around for like 45 years now, and has been performed by the same person ever since that first appearance on Sex and Violence. The only characters we can really say that kind of thing about are Dave Goelz characters. So it's like Gonzo and Zoot and probably somebody else I'm forgetting on this list of famous Dave Goelz characters. But those two, it's just so interesting that like they've been around for so long. And I think we obviously remember Gonzo as being a constant Dave Goelz thing, but I always forget that Zoot is right there with him. Some fun facts about Zoot. His saxophone is designed to be an alto saxophone, but the sound it makes is a tenor saxophone. Something I wouldn't know. Also, some interesting tidbits from Muppet Wiki. It is likely that Zoot is Jewish.
Oh.
Apparently, in Muppet's Christmas Letters to Santa, he wishes Kermit a happy Hanukkah. And then later on, in the extended DVD release, you can see Zoot lighting a menorah.
Seems like conclusive evidence.
Yeah. And my last little tidbit about Zoot here is that according to the Muppet Character Encyclopedia, he put out a solo album called Zoot Sings the Blues that sold just 6 copies.
Oh, no. Poor guy.
Yeah, poor Zoot. That's why he sticks with the Electric Mayhem, is because his solo act didn't work out. But yeah, that's my Zoot facts.
He's got no family, no loved ones.
Nope. What you gonna rate Zoot out of your 5-star scale?
I love Zoot because the Muppet line that's stuck in my head more than any other for some reason is, "Uh-oh, Zoot skipped a groove again." So I almost always think of Zoot as like one of the first Muppets I think of when I think of Muppets. So I'm going to give him 4 stars.
4
Just
stars.
like all the other Electric Mayhem. I can't give him more than 4 stars. They're all tied.
Yeah, I really like Zoot as well, and I feel like the moment that jumps out to me is another like line related to Zoot where it's like, "Forgive me, Charlie Parker, wherever you are." Which I don't remember what song he's about to perform when he does that, but it's like a song he doesn't want to perform. But yeah, I feel like Zoot has some good standout moments. And so let's see, out of 60 stars, he's gonna get 43.
Well, I'm jealous of your much more flexible.
I mean, it means nothing,
rating
Sam.
system.
There's no logic.
You get more new numbers in between.
Yeah,
I can be more granular.
I can just say
with how
something
much you like
random,
them
and it just sounds like it makes sense. I could be like 37, and it's like you have to say one of 5 numbers.
And they're all 4.
Well, we'll probably find a 1 or a 2 at some point.
No, definitely.
So, people don't know this, but we had sort of a short week between recordings this week, Sam. But did you have time to watch any non-Muppet media?
I don't think I really watched anything, Matt.
That's fair. I watched Doctor Strange for the first time. It was the only MCU movie that I haven't seen.
How was it?
It was all right. It was pretty good. Better than I thought it was going to be. It was, I will relate it to the Harvey Korman episode of The Muppet Show, where I expected way worse.
I don't feel like any of those Marvel movies are ever going to be too good or too bad. But that one's on the lower end of the spectrum, I would say, of goodness.
It's kind of unremarkable in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But I'm glad I watched it finally. We're doing our MCU rewatch and finally got to that one.
I think the thing I like least about it is that it wastes Mads Mikkelsen, who would be an amazing Marvel. He'd be a great Doctor Doom.
He'd be a great Doctor Doom.
Yeah, he's like almost the only choice for Doctor Doom.
Yeah.
So you can't have him be that guy.
He's got a brother who's pretty similar to him. We could just bring him in and make him Doctor Doom. And I also watched this last week, but I forgot to mention it last week, that I think would be a good thing for listeners of this podcast. I mentioned previously Lego Masters is a show I enjoy.
Oh, yeah.
And this season, they did an episode where the competitors had to build a Lego puppet and put on a puppet show. And that's fine and good. That was like 2 of my interests melding together. But the more interesting part for listeners of this podcast is that they had a puppet version of Will Arnett, who is the host of the show, there, who was like vying for Will Arnett's hosting job. And the performer that they had for the Will Arnett puppet, I'm watching this and I'm like, this performer's really good. Like, I bet they hired somebody Muppet related to do this because the performance is just too professional. And turns out it was Mr. Steve Whitmire, former Kermit, and Rizzo, and Bean Bunny, and all these other things. It was really nice to find out that it was Steve Whitmire. He didn't sound like any of his more famous roles. But it was, it's been a while since we've seen some Steve Whitmire content in the Muppet sort of world. It's good to see that he's still doing puppet stuff post being fired by the Muppets.
So I think about him and how how weird it would be to whenever you see Kermit the Frog think, I used to be Kermit the Frog, and then I got fired.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be very much fun.
Yeah. Especially if you were Kermit the Frog for like 20 years or something.
For a pretty long time, yeah.
But for now, we are going to move on to some more Muppet Show next week, Sam. We'll be watching episodes 16 through 20 of The Muppet Show, the ones that aired in New York between January. I put 32nd in my notes. I think I meant 31st.
They had different dates in the 70s.
Yeah.
That was,
didn't have Oreos, but they had the
daylight
32nd
savings
of January. They are the ones that aired in New York between January 31st and February 28th in 1977. So that'll be guests Vincent Price, Twiggy,
baby.
Phyllis Diller, Ethel Merman, and Connie Stevens.
That sounds like a great batch.
And we'll also be checking out an American Express commercial that Jim Henson did for some reason in 1977.
So they were just really only doing the Muppet Show, huh? Is that pretty much what's happening?
Yeah, it looks like they did the occasional TV appearance to promote the Muppet Show that unfortunately we haven't been able to find. But yeah, it seems like they're very focused. I think it's partially because they're in England. They are in a different country filming these things, so they're only able to do other TV appearances when they come back occasionally.
Right. And I guess at this point, they're probably working on season 2 while season 1 is airing.
Well, they're also getting Emmett Otter off the ground, which we'll be talking about in a little while. They're also starting to work on that. So, yeah, they're doing stuff behind the scenes, but nothing really in front of camera besides The Muppet Show right now. So, yes, we will be watching more of The Muppet Show next time on this podcast. And before we go, we need to thank our friend Tuna for creating the music for this here podcast, and Cassie Wilson for singing our theme song. You can follow us on Twitter at CommitmentPod, where you can find the playlist for the things we are going to watch, or when it's The Muppet Show, we'll just tell you, hey, get Disney+. You can email us at mail@commitment.com if you have any Muppet memories you'd like to share, and you can follow me at Matthew Gatos.
And I'm at Slam Schultz.
And as always, keep believing.
Keep pretending.